When was your last cup of coffee yesterday? 3 p.m.? 4? After dinner? Most people get the answer wrong by about 6 hours. There's a window where coffee actively protects your heart and a window where the same coffee is quietly shaving years off the back end. The cup didn't change, the clock did. Here's the study that broke this open. Wang and colleagues, 2025, European Heart Journal. They pulled 40,725 adults out of NHANES and tracked them for almost 10 years. Then they ran a cluster analysis on when people actually drank their coffee. Two patterns fell out: morning-only drinkers and all-day drinkers, the kind who keep a cup going from breakfast through afternoon. The morning-only group had a 16% lower risk of dying from any cause, 31% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular disease, both compared to people who drank no coffee at all. The all-day drinkers, drinking the same total caffeine across the day, showed no significant mortality benefit. The timing pattern, not the dose, tracked with the protection. This is observational data. Residual confounding is real. Morning-only drinkers may eat differently, sleep differently, exercise differently. Nobody's saying morning coffee cures heart disease. The signal is strong, the mechanism is plausible, and the data points away from the afternoon cup. Here's why the mechanism makes sense. Caffeine's average half-life in a healthy adult is around 5 hours. That means the coffee you drank at 4 p.m. is still running at half strength in your bloodstream at 9 p.m., a quarter strength at 2 in the morning. Your brain is metabolizing caffeine while you're trying to sleep. The cleanest evidence is the Drake 2013 trial in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine. Double-blind, 400 milligrams of caffeine, roughly 2 strong cups, given at 0, 3, and 6 hours before bed. Even the 6-hour group, the people who stopped caffeine at 4 p.m. before a 10 p.m. bedtime, lost more than an hour of objectively measured sleep that night. 6 hours before bed still cost them an hour. Now layer the cortisol piece. Lovallo's 2005 paper in Psychosomatic Medicine ran 96 adults through controlled caffeine dosing and measured saliva cortisol across the day. Caffeine raised cortisol throughout, but the largest absolute effect landed in the afternoon. Your cortisol curve naturally peaks about 30 to 45 minutes after you wake up, then tapers down all day. Morning caffeine layers onto a curve that's already supposed to be high. Afternoon caffeine forces a cortisol spike when your body is trying to wind down for the night. Then there's the blood pressure load. The Mesas 2011 meta in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition pooled the trial data. 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine raises systolic pressure about 8 points, diastolic about 6, for at least 3 hours after the dose. Stack that against an evening when your heart should be downshifting, and you've got the cardiovascular cost the Wang data picked up. The picture is converging. Caffeine half-life rolling into bedtime, sleep architecture degraded, cortisol spiked when it should be dropping, blood pressure elevated through the evening. Each one alone the body handles. Stack them across years, and the wear shows up in mortality data. That's the wrong pattern setup. Next, the right one.
Here's what the research points to. The morning-only pattern that won in the Wang data wasn't a narrow window. It was coffee finished by roughly noon. The all-day pattern that flattened the benefit was anything that ran past early afternoon. So the practical orientation is this: front-load the caffeine. Last cup by noon to 1 p.m. for most people. Earlier if you go to bed early, later only if you're a confirmed night shift worker on a shifted circadian rhythm. Why noon to 1? Work the math backward from Drake. 6 hours before bed still cost an hour of sleep. If you go to bed at 10 or 11, 6 hours back lands you at 4 or 5 p.m. To actually clear the disruption window, you want to be done at least 7 or 8 hours before bed. Noon does it for almost everyone. Quick note before we go further. This is research, not medical advice. The numbers come from studies, not a prescription. Talk to your doctor before changing anything, especially if you're on stimulant medication, have an arrhythmia history, an anxiety disorder, or you're pregnant. Caffeine timing interacts with all of those. Now, the second piece. Don't drink coffee within the first 30 to 45 minutes of waking. Your cortisol awakening response is already firing. Caffeine, on top of a peaking cortisol curve, blunts the natural rise, and the Lovallo data suggests chronic dosers can end up with a flatter morning cortisol that needs caffeine to feel normal. The simple fix? Drink a glass of water first, move around for 30 minutes, then have the coffee. You ride your own cortisol wave to its top, and you stack caffeine on the descent, not the climb. Third, the dose matters less than the timing, but it's not nothing. The Ding 2014 meta in Circulation pulled together 36 prospective cohorts, over 1.2 million people. The dose-response curve was J-shaped, 3 to 5 cups a day associated with about 15% lower cardiovascular risk versus none. Above 5 cups, the benefit flattened. So we're not in megadose territory here. 2 to 4 cups, finished by early afternoon, is where the data clusters. Fourth, decaf or half-calf in the afternoon is the workaround if you genuinely want the ritual past noon. Decaf still has trace caffeine, around 2 to 5 milligrams a cup versus 95 in regular, but it's well below the sleep disruption threshold. The Loftfield 2018 UK Biobank analysis found decaf drinkers also had lower all-cause mortality. The bean has hundreds of polyphenols beyond caffeine. You don't lose those when you lose the stimulant. So, the full pattern: 2 to 4 cups of real coffee, finished by noon to 1, decaf or water from there. Glass of water before the first cup. That's the protocol the research actually points to. The cup didn't change, the clock did. One more thing. If you found the caffeine and cortisol piece interesting, the deeper version of that story, the one about how chronic cortisol elevation quietly raises your blood sugar, your blood pressure, and your waistline, is the entire focus of our video on lowering cortisol naturally. The link is in the description below. Reminder, this is research, not medical advice. Talk to your doctor before changing anything.